Hello guys, and now we are going to see the tactical theme of Knight F5. This is the sixth game in the typical Sicilian tactics series, and the game is played between Vishy Anand and Jiang Chuan in 1989, and the game goes E4, C5, Knight F3, D6. D4, CD4, knight takes D4, knight F6, knight C3, and E6, G4, H6, rook G1, knight C6, H4, H5, GH5, and knight takes H5, bishop G5, knight F6, bishop to E2, A6, H5, bishop D7, queen to D2, bishop E7, long castles, queen C7, H6, GH6, bishop takes F6, bishop takes F6, and this is an important moment in the game. Black has obtained the bishop pair and therefore looks to be better. However, for one more move, his king is stuck in the center. This is often the cue for a sacrificial attempt, and it turns out Anand has seen one such idea here, based on a hidden tactic, that is knight to F5. This is very beautiful and compelling. Now bishop to E7. So let's see what is the hidden idea. What if black simply takes the knight, and now E takes F5. This move first of all removes black's protection of the D5 square, so the other knight can jump in with the tempo. So white plays the logical knight to D5 here. I mean, after E takes D5, knight to D5 is correct. Instead of after E takes F5 by black, knight takes D5 is correct. You shouldn't have to retake the pawn. Now after queen to D8, and now Anand had undoubtedly prepared the shocking queen takes H6 move, which is both elegant and functional. White makes use of the weakness of black's back rank. This is the reason why the queen can't be taken. If at all it is taken, then this mate occurs. So now here knight takes F6 check is also threatened, and there is queen takes H8 check also. So against these two threats there is no defense. Black can't bring his king to safety with long castles, since he would then lose not merely two pawns but also an exchange. So now if at all after knight to F5, if black plays long castles, then there is knight takes D6, king B8, then knight takes F7 is coming. Also, if at all bishop takes C3, now knight takes D6 check, king to E7, now queen takes c3, and white is winning. So after knight f5, here if king to f8, white still has a substantial advantage after knight takes h6, and knight to d4, and king b1. So, but in the game black didn't play this move, he played bishop to e7. Now knight takes e7, keeping the black king in the middle. Now after king takes e7, it is shown as a mistake. If instead knight takes e7, here white's best continuation would be bishop to h5, keeping up the crippling pressure on the opponent's position. Here bishop queen takes d6 should not be played, and after knight takes e7, king takes e7, rook g3, b5. The aim of rook g3 is to play rook to d3, and now b5 after now queen f4, looking to stir up trouble from h4 square, and here rook d3, rook a d8, and rook takes d6, and bishop to c8 seems playable for black, although he is not out of the woods yet. So, but in the game, white played queen f4, and now black played rook a d8, and now queen h4 check, and here even the e5 move is the clearance move for his knight, and after d takes e5, now white has this move, queen takes f7 check, after king takes h7, and as bishop h5 check, and if at all king e7, there is rook g7 check, king to f8, and rook f7 check, king to e8, now knight to e4, now rook to a8, now rook f takes d7, king f8, and rook takes c7. So king, if at all king to f8, then rook f3 check, king to e7, now rook to f7, king to e8, Now again knight to e4. The same variation comes again. So, but in the game Anand didn't see this variation. He went for queen to h4 check. Now king to e8. Now bishop takes b5. And if here in the game black didn't take the sacrifice, he went for knight to e5. If at all a takes b5, then there is knight takes b5, queen b8. Now knight takes d6 check, king to f8, and now queen f6, and black's position begins to take on down. Now knight e5, now bishop to e2. White stays on track, material is balanced, but when we consider piece quality, it is clear that white is winning. Now queen to c5, bishop to h5. Now rook to f8, f4, knight c6. If at all knight to c4, white has this knight d5, which works. With this move, white breaks the defensive line with which black's queen was keeping, that in the 5th rank. So now after knight c6, e5, Anand has observed correctly that he has a nice combination at his disposal. White aims to close the 5th rank so that he can soon make use of the 5th square, I mean h5 square. At the same time, he clears the e4 for the knight. Now after d5, now bishop to f7 check, rook takes f7, rook g8, queen f8. If rook f8, then queen h5 comes. This was the reason to play e5 to close the 5th rank. This was the reason to clear the h5 square. So after queen f8, rook takes f8, rook takes f8, queen h5, king e7, and queen g6. Here black resigned. So okay guys, I hope you would have enjoyed the game. I will be meeting you in the next game. Thank you.